We had the bombings in Birmingham of young kids, and then in '65 uh, we had Bloody Sunday, and all this you have to understand too was during a time of we had black and white TV, but it was journalism where you could see things going on. Like you saw what was going on in Vietnam with the war and that kind of thing. You saw it was in your living room, and so Bloody Sunday when uh, our brothers and sisters went to march across the Edmund Petty, Petty Bridge in Selma, Alabama. On the other side of the bridge were police and white vigilantes. So they saw that. They marched across the bridge anyway, and they got beat pretty badly, men and women, and even teenagers. And that was shown again around the world, and it was very upsetting, of course, to black people, but to a lot of white folks, a lot of people that believe in justice for all. So it was a very significant moment in the civil rights struggle, and uh, it's still talked about today. I mean, it's still an annual march across that bridge in remembrance of that bloody Sunday. And then we had uh, the murder of Brother Malcolm. And you have to understand during that time, this was before the real black consciousness movement, where we said we're black and we're proud and that type of thing. What the American media and the world media portrayed anything black, again, as I said, was bad. So when they would report about Malcolm, they wouldn't say a leader of the Nation of Islam. It was the black Muslims because it made it feel like whoa, whoa, whoa. You know, that's kind of terrifying. You know, another thing that was going on, and this is off the civil rights struggle, was in the Congo. You had the Mau Mau that were fighting for independence from Belgium because the Congo was called a Belgium Congo. So in the media, it was like, oh, the black Mau Mau, and they were terrorists and they were doing this and that. So with Malcolm, it was a lot of brothers and sisters that were afraid of Malcolm. You know, not just white folks. You know, and so me in my own experience, uh, after the death of Malcolm, as went a lot of people, when I went to my freshman year in college, Motown had put out a album of all of Malcolm's speeches. And we used to play it, listen to it over and over again. Sometimes we would stop a party and play one of his speeches. And we played it so much that we could quote Malcolm's words verbatim, you know. But like I said, this is after Malcolm's death, and he was revered by, and what I'm saying is a lot because of the media, just like with the Black Panther Party, because of the media, a lot of blacks feared Malcolm and the Nation of Islam. But it was a bunch of black folks that knew what he was talking about because we'd all experienced the uh, uh, being second class citizens, being stepped on. They were still lynching and burning people in the South, and uh, you still had all your police were white. You know, so you still had a lot of brutality and killings by police going on in cities across America. People start fighting with police, shooting at police, uh, start started fires, and like a misconception of the fires because people say, uh, especially white folks, well they burning their own community. No, it was targeted, and it was targeted against businesses in the community that people felt and they were right, exploited the community. I mean, there was a guy named Nat Diamond. He had about 2 or 3 furniture stores, and basically it was just like the predator loans now. You could go get furniture on credit, but then the interest was so high that either you never pay it off, or either you fall behind and they would come pick your furniture up. Well, they burn all his stores. And as an example of what I'm saying, the Asian stores in the community, they put signs on the window saying, "Me, brother, too." You know what I mean? In other words, we with y'all. Don't burn us down. So it wasn't like the community was burning their own community. It was they targeted people they felt exploited the community. And I'll never forget as a 13-year-old. We stayed maybe 5 miles from Watts, but it spread beyond Watts. It went further north, like to Crenshaw District, Adams Boulevard, and you could see flames from my house. You could see flames everywhere. And then I remember on the second day, they brought in the National Guard. So I'll never forget, you had Jeeps with 50 millimeter machine guns mounted. You had soldiers walking up and down the street. I remember one day, me and my father was at our barber, which was on Adams Boulevard. And I remember they had this young brother jacked up on the side of this Jeep. I mean, just roughing him up. And I'll never forget those kind of things. And so once they brought it under control, as usual, the powers that be and white folks were like, "What the hell happened?" You know, we thought the Negroes was happy, and this is true. When they made a movie about that, in the movie this woman asking her maid, same thing, "What the hell happened?" What, because just like today, people riding around in nice clothes, well, we have a whole subculture of people that are suffering. Or just like with George Floyd. George Floyd was just it wasn't just about George Floyd. It was about what was going on in the community. You got a problem, just throw money at it. So after the Watts riots, they threw money in the black community. Then you had brothers and sisters fighting over these crumbs. They set up programs, all these community development programs. And I remember they set up a program where black students coming out of high school, they could get in these colleges without the same academic requirements as normal. And they gave out grants. So, I mean, that's what they always do. Just quiet down. Same thing with George Floyd. I remember when George Floyd hit, uh, my brother Kofi Taharka asked me, Bunchy, what do you think they're going to do? And I told him they're going to do the same thing they did during the Watts riots and all these other crises. They're going to throw money at it. And what do? But the thing is, the money never comes down to the people who work hard in the community. What do? They here's $1 million to the NAACP, $1 million to the. I mean, it was more than that because all these corporations start giving out money, but they never come down to the Shrine of the Black Madonna or to Shape Community Center or Say Hi Center. People that are in the community every day putting in the work didn't get none of that money.
And 65, unfortunately, I'm gonna tell you one of the downsides of 65, because the schools really the schools, public schools, were desegregated. I will never use the word integrated and that's a subject for another discussion with us. But the schools were desegregated pretty much in 1965. I graduated from an all-black school.
What
and
school?
Lincoln High School in Lamarck, Texas.
Okay.
And the schools then started integrating or desegregating. That kind of started a teardown in the Black community too, because a lot of folks got to go to the white schools. They got a lot of our really top teachers I had a couple of teachers in high school who had PhDs.
Wow.
And I had a geometry teacher, and she told us we got books. We got the books that the white kids had used. And so she handed us our books. She said, "Look, I know these books are not in good shape. It's geometry class." She said, "And some of you have books with pages missing. Have no fear. I'm going to teach you what's on the missing pages."
Wow.
Okay.
Wow.
And she did. And her name was Jerisa Goodwin. She was, she taught us geometry, trigonometry, and algebra. And the woman was just a genius. But, all those top teachers went to the white schools. And then we had, of course, then folks started moving out of our neighborhoods. That meant that the businesses that were in those neighborhoods got less business, and
Mm,
they started. So if you think, I don't think you can write the good story of 1965. You can talk about the positive things that happened, but don't neglect to look at how we started drifting away. And I think in that drifting away, some Black people, middle class Black people, got real happy that they could buy a house in the suburbs, have white neighbors. Their kids would go to desegregated schools, and they didn't tell them about their history. And that I think also had an impact on us. That's why a lot of our kids don't know, when folks say, when I'm out talking to folks about voting, "Oh, but Miss Gaskin, that was a long time ago." No, well, you look at me. No, it wasn't. Here I am. You
yeah.
know, I remember going with my daddy to the drugstore, and he went to pick up some ice cream for a birthday party. And I hopped up on a seat, and he was told, "Get that little nigger off that seat." That was right there in Galveston, Texas. So, you know, and see, nobody was worried about my feelings. When they start talking about, "Oh, we don't want to teach these children about uh, slavery because it'll hurt their feelings." Well, nobody was worried about my feelings. When I got school books that had pages missing, what did that communicate to me? That I was less than.
Mm,
But we had teachers who told us, "You got these books, I'm gonna teach you what's missing, and don't ever let anybody tell you that you can't do." When
yeah.
I got ready to go to the University of Texas, my teachers said, "Baby, you're gonna be fine because you're smart. You is smart, you is kind, you is important."